It's rookie minicamp day across the NFL. We have got you covered here on NFL Live. 26 teams start rookie camp today. Here's Shedeur Sanders. Actually, that's Jaxson Dart. Just kidding. You're going to see Shedeur Sanders, though. Jaxson Dart getting ready to go for the Giants. We'll check in on him. You'll also hear from him and what he said to the media. Ashton Jeanty ready to go for the Raiders. You see him making his debut in that number 2. I don't care that it's on the practice field. It's still really cool to see these rookies at their new homes. And now, as promised, here is Shedeur Sanders out there wearing number 12. We will see what Kevin Stefanski has to say about him. And in fact, that's where we go right now. Kevin Stefanski on his plan for his quarterbacks this week.
I wouldn't look into anything. I think you'll see the whole weekend going through the spring. I mean, we don't pay too close attention to who's in there first. There's plenty of reps. There's a lot of time between now and September, so we'll have a plan. But it's an all-encompassing evaluation. It's not something that it's just based on the practice reps. There's a lot that goes into it.
Kimberly Martin joining us now from Cleveland. She got to watch today's practice up close. So, Kimberly, what did you see from the quarterbacks today?
Yeah, Laura, school is officially in session here in Berea for both Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel, for them to take what they learned in the meeting room and apply it to the grass, as Kevin Stefanski said. And after practice, he said they actually look really good. Now, here's the thing. People are going to say they have 2 quarterbacks. Who's going to be the starter? Who's in pole position? This is day 1, Laura, of a very long process, and that's why Stefanski said, as you heard, don't read into any of this. The evaluation is ongoing, all-encompassing, and it will include not just what they do on the field, but off the field as well. I can tell you that they ran more 7-on-7 drills to accommodate having 2 young quarterbacks who need a lot of work on the field, but they got to get these guys up to speed with the vets coming in very soon. But so far, so good. But I will leave you with one housekeeping note, Laura. GM Andrew Barry was on the local radio station this afternoon, and he said that the likelihood of re-signing Nick Chubb is unlikely, which is not surprising for those of us around the Browns a lot, considering that they drafted 2 running backs. So there's one nugget for you guys.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Kimberly. I mean, we did recently see Nick Chubb lifting an ungodly amount of weight in the weight room, but somebody better pick him up. Let's get back to these quarterbacks for the Browns. Stefanski knows what it's like to have a few new quarterbacks in the room, right? He's had 11 different starting QBs since he became the Browns head coach in 2020, 3 more than the next closest coaches. Despite that, Stefanski managed to win 2 Coach of the Year awards during his tenure. All right, look who's here on NFL Live today. We have a great group. Jeremy Fowler in the house, Damian Woody and Kyle Van Noy back again for his second day joining us as an analyst. Of course, he's still with the Ravens, but he's here analyzing the entire NFL right now. Mina Kimes joins us as well. A lot to get to, and Mina, will be right back to you. But Jeremy, take us bigger picture on the QB position for the Browns. What are the expectations in Cleveland?
All right, so the Browns got these 4 quarterbacks. They're going to roll with that for the next 2 to 3 months to see how it shakes out. Shedeur Sanders will have every opportunity to make his impression and to make this team. The Browns also look at quarterbacks, like all positions, like currency, like value. They could trade one of these guys in August if they play well in the preseason. But they're going to give Sanders every chance because the word around the league was that he had a tough time in some of these interviews with other teams. That was not the Browns' experience. They felt good about him. They felt like he was a good person, that he's accurate on the field. So there's some things to like, but he has to beat out Dillon Gabriel because they were so surprised that the Gabriel dynamic and their courtship of him in pre-draft didn't get more publicity by the media. They low-key loved him for months and nobody knew it, and they drafted him 2 rounds earlier. So he's got to beat him out.
Yeah, listen, I think, first of all, no jobs are won in rookie training camp. A lot of fans, it's like Christmas, like Christmas morning. They can't wait to, unwrap the new rookies out there. But
I'm that fan.
Yeah, a lot of people are. But listen, I think the main thing is, and Kimberly Martin, she touched on, is really taking the information that you learn in the classroom and see if you can retain it and apply it on the practice field. That's really what the gist of all these rookie camps. And on top of that, just checking to see how conditioned these guys are, see if they've been true to their workouts. But you're not winning anything in these rookie training camps.
Yeah, I'm thinking ahead a little bit past rookie mini camps. Let's get into the OTAs and then training camp. As a defensive guy, I'm actually paying attention to it because I'm going into the trenches on the opposite side, practicing against these quarterbacks. I want to see who's going to win the job. Just like when I was in Miami, you had Tua versus Fitzpatrick going at it. And then in New England in 2021, you had Cam Newton and Mac Jones. So I enjoyed watching those guys go at it, getting a good glimpse of who they can be, who they can't be. And I'm excited to see what Shedeur and Gabriel do in Cleveland.
Being that you've had a front row seat for those quarterback battles, did you know at this point in the season or this off season who was going to be the starter? Do you know this early?
No, it is too earlier, like D Wood alluded to. I think it wasn't until training camp that Mac Jones, I believe Cam Newton got sick. Mac Jones took that QB1 position. When he wasn't there, he took all the reps against the Giants in a joint practice and lit it on fire, and that's what ended him getting the job.
Interesting. Mina, you know, Joe Flacco obviously in the mix here. The quarterback room for the Browns we know is very crowded. Do you expect the scheme to change for Stefanski in that offense this season?
No, I really don't. And not just because of Stefanski's history as a play caller, what he likes to do, which we're familiar with, but also their personnel decisions. Kimberly alluded to this in her reporting. They took 2 running backs, both of whom I liked a lot, by the way, in Judkins and Sampsons, in the first 4 rounds. They also took a tight end, Harold Fannin Jr. in the 3rd round, who's a really interesting player, super productive in college, more of a move guy, so he pairs nicely with David Njoku. We're going to see a lot of 21-12 personnel. A lot of under center play action. I saw a rep of Shedeur, who rarely played under center in college, practicing that. And I think we're going to see the same with Gabriel. And I think for the quarterback competition, what the Browns are going to have to figure out this summer is who adapts better to that scheme. That's talking about ball handling, the accuracy off of play action, working from under center, throwing on the move. These are the things that not just Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel, but also Kenny Pickett have to show. We saw that already with Flacco, and I think it's going to go a long way towards deciding who actually wins this.
Yeah, it was interesting. Tim Hasselbeck recently on our show was bringing up the point that you have to think about reps that these guys are going to get when it comes to actually even making the team. That's something to keep an eye on with so many quarterbacks on this roster. Let's go to Pittsburgh, where they still don't have an answer from Aaron Rodgers, but they did draft Will Howard. Of course, he starts rookie camp today. Will Howard out of Ohio State. We'll see what he brings to the table. Draft him in the 6th round, and right now they continue to talk about Mason Rudolph being in pole position to be the starter there, but Will Howard part of this group as well. Now, with George Pickens' departure to Dallas, here's what the Steelers' wide receiver room looks like. Here's who Howard, Mason Rudolph, maybe Aaron Rodgers is going to be throwing to. Robert Woods, DK Metcalf, the veterans, but they're both in their first season with Pittsburgh. And the most career receiving yards for any returning player is 1,154 by Scotty Miller. No one else has 1,000 yards in their careers. Steelers GM Omar Khan on how the Pickens deal came about.
Was reached out, I don't really remember what day it was, but earlier this week, and they gave us, they proposed something that we discussed where things, I guess, have been with George, where they are, and where things could go with George, and this trade made sense for everyone. We had 3 years with George, and we had some exciting times, but. It was just time for the fresh start for both sides was the right thing. Roman's healthy. I've seen him the last couple weeks out here and how he's doing, and we saw how he was progressing at the end of last year. Obviously, he didn't get the chance to to get on the field, but there was some excitement there. But we have a good group. There's some guys that are back, and we've seen their growth and have another year under our belt with them, and we're chasing a championship, and every decision we make is based on trying to win a championship, not only, in the future, but this year.
Yeah, I mean, right? That's what fans want to hear. But D Wood, new quarterback, new wide receiver, new running backs. Do you expect there to be a leadership void amongst the players, especially on offense for the Steelers team?
Well, usually when you talk about leadership, it happens organically. And the way it happens organically is by a few factors. One, guys who, been there, been through the fire, been through all the things that's been going on within the organization. But ultimately, what it comes down to? Production. Mm-hmm. You're not going to follow anyone who doesn't go out there and ball out on the field. And so, a guy that came to mind was Pat Freiermuth, guy who's been with the Pittsburgh Steelers, who's been a productive guy, fan favorite type of guy. That's the type of guy that I could ideally see to be, potentially be a leader. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the players in the locker room gravitate to the guys who are out there producing on the field.
Yeah, and I think this leadership that can, that is voided with the Pittsburgh Steelers is going to come down to the quarterback position. Aaron Rodgers comes to mind for me. I think Aaron Rodgers comes in, he brings in a different leadership value, and it's a leadership value that I believe they need. They had Russell Wilson, it didn't work for them. Aaron Rodgers can come in and he can do the veteran leadership. He can take DK Metcalf. They can do special things. He can take the rookie running back, Jaylen Warren, under his wing, get them going a little bit, and then have that camaraderie with the offensive line to really protect him, and they could do something.
Do you know something we don't know, that Aaron Rodgers is like definitely going there? The way you said that, it sounded...
It sounded convincing.
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
We put that on the bottom line, as reported by Kyle Van Noy.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jeremy. Where are we on this Rodgers situation?
So I've checked in on this with people with the Steelers. They say, look, we're still hopeful. We've been in contact with Aaron Rodgers, but there's no hard updates. We continue to wait. His first foray into free agency in 20 years was always going to be unpredictable, but they are counting on him essentially being the quarterback. They like Mason Rudolph as a backup plan. And look, at wide receiver, they're going to have to add somebody, but they like Roman Wilson, third-round pick from last year. They say he's night and day better. He's off the injuries he had a year ago, so they expect him to step into a prominent role. They also have 3 third-round picks in 2026 they could package as a potential trade target for somebody else.
It does feel like 2026 makes a lot of sense if they don't make moves, even if they get Aaron Rodgers at the quarterback position. It's supposed to be a better quarterback class. All right, we talked about Pickens going from Pittsburgh to Dallas. I saw you reporting no long-term deal there for him. Why is that?
Yeah, he's going to play it out because Pickens knows that his value can skyrocket if he puts together a complete season, not just on the field with the production, but off it, because the issues in Pittsburgh were very clear. It was maturity and it was accountability or lack thereof. You can go to Dallas, try to show that, because from what I was told, he actually didn't want to leave Pittsburgh. He was loyal to Mike Tomlin, wanted to see it through, but then once the trade was going through, he's like, look, I get to play with Dak Prescott, the best quarterback he's had in the league, top 10 guy, really.
And supported cast, too.
That's what I'm saying. He's got CD Lamb there, so he's going to put up numbers for sure. If he can go in, be a good soldier, show that he can, be on the up and up from a personality standpoint, and the Cowboys know how to manage some of those personalities as well. So he's going to hit it big. Dallas is totally comfortable with that because they get a year with him, and they can get a comp pick if he does leave and sign somewhere else.
Lord, let me tell you something. If you can't put up numbers this year, then I just don't understand it. And in a contract year with a top 10 quarterback, come on.
And not getting double teamed like he was in Pittsburgh. CD's taking a double team.
No, that's a good point. I mean, you saw the numbers he put up in Pittsburgh. It was pretty remarkable considering, and he wasn't even healthy for some of that time. Now, Mina, we've talked a lot this offseason about some of the roster issues in Dallas. We turn our attention there. With most of the player movement now done, where are the holes still for the Cowboys?
I think the biggest hole is the same as last year and the year before, and that's run defense. Kyle's Ravens ran for, I believe, 274 yards on them, and they were not alone. This was a bottom 5 run defense by just about every metric. And while they addressed pass rush in the draft, they added a cornerback who I really like. The spine of the defense remains an issue for me. Defensive tackle, linebacker. I think Dallas's best chance of stopping the run is for the offense to be so productive that teams have to pass on them, because I do not think the run defense issues are fixed.
All right, we'll leave it there and continue to keep our eyes on those Cowboys. But new on NFL Live, Jeremy, you have some news about Jair Alexander. What's going on there?
Yeah, checking on Alexander with the Packers. I'm told they have discussed a potential resolution to his contract situation. They've talked about a trade, but the Packers just simply have not been comfortable with any sort of deal. So I'm told that Alexander, as it stands, is prepared to honor his contract unless the Packers can come to an agreement on a revised deal that benefits both sides. So he's due $17+ million next year. Can they find a sweet spot? It is looking more and more likely that he will be a Packer at this point. I think they can work something out, but we'll see.
Huge for Packers fans and Green Bay's defense. All right, we're just getting started here on NFL Live. The Bears were busy this offseason, but did they do enough to help Caleb Williams in year 2? Nina's optimistic. Find out why. She'll explain. Plus, Jaxson Dart reports to Giants mini camp. You already saw him earlier in the show. How much pressure is on him to play earlier? Stay tuned for why Jeremy thinks he has more time than you may think. That's coming your way right here on ESPN. We'll be right back. Minicamp. Look at Cam Ward, the #1 overall pick there at Titans minicamp. Of course, he's got that #1 jersey on. And then the number 2 pick would be Travis Hunter. This is interesting stuff. Putting the new helmet on, getting suited up, that's important, right? You got to make sure that thing fits. Right. Either way, let's talk about Jaxson Dart. You guys aren't with me on that. I was trying to have fun there. Nobody wanted to chime in. All right, let's go to the Giants. Jaxson Dart getting ready to go, and you see him out there. Brian Daboll right there in the mix with everything that Jaxson Dart's going to be doing. Big question is, how soon do we see him? Giants head coach Brian Daboll on Dart and their relationship from earlier today.
Yeah, I'd say just with any young player, Patty, you're doing everything you can to again, there's a long list of things that you have to go through with all these players. The quarterback is a particularly hard position mentally. We're going to put everything we got into it. I know he will too. And there'll be some struggles and there'll be some good things, and that's what you learn from. But excited to work with him.
He's constantly, coaching me, and I think that's what I want to be around. I want to be I want to be coached the hardest, and I feel like that's going to help me excel at the highest level and help me reach my potential. So there's not another coach I'd rather be playing for.
Oh man, it's been rough for the Giants since Eli Manning retired after the 2019 season. The G-men have thrown for 15 or fewer touchdowns in 4 of the 5 seasons since Eli left. That's twice as many as the next closest teams. Here's our Giants reporter Jordan Renaud on how the quarterbacks look today.
Thanks, Laura. It was easy to see in just one practice what the Giants like about Jaxson Dart. He was out there getting guys in position at the line of scrimmage, fitting throws into tight windows. He even gathered the guys together on the bus ride home yesterday and went over plays in order to be prepared and confident for his first practice, which he was. Not everyone's first practice goes so smoothly. Just ask Eli Manning, who famously threw a ball off the tackling dummy in his first workout with the Giants. Now Dart and the Giants know there's going to be a big learning curve. This, after all, is a quarterback who only used a clap as a snap count in college. Head coach Brian Zabel said it's not rocket science, so think he'll be able to pick that up quickly. Still, after the draft, I asked general manager Joe Schoen if he thought this could be like a redshirt year for Dart, sitting and learning behind veterans like Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. Schoen was nodding his head yes. Dart has said he's never really been in that position, so this could be different for him. Back to you, Laura.
Thanks, Jordan. All right, Jeremy, what are the Giants hoping for when it comes to seeing Dart on the field in the fall?
Yeah, so the stage is set for Jaxson Dart to sit an extended period of time and learn behind the scenes if everything goes correctly. That means that Russell Wilson looks great in training camp. If they can win, hey, look, we're not naive, right? We know this because you got to win at least some semblance of football games to stave off the rookie. But the Giants do feel more equipped than they have in the past to be at least able to hold the fort down. They got a good defense now. They got more parts. Russell Wilson doesn't turn the ball over. Like, they're hopeful that they can let Jaxson Dart develop behind the scenes. But I'm told they're also not going to guardrail him either. If he is lights out in training camp over the next 3 months, looks terrific, they're not just going to hold him out for no reason. But the feeling around the league, the prevailing theme when I talk to other teams is that Jaxson Dart needs at least a year to develop based on the offense he came from. Ole Miss just needs a little bit of time.
Yeah, listen, I understand the game plan here, but I'm not one to put guys in boxes because everyone develops at different rates here. So again, like you pointed out, if he comes out here and he lights it up, you might have the whole Giants organization reassessing things along the way. But I think the overall prevailing thing is, I think it just depends on how the Giants season goes. If the Giants if they're playing ball and they're winning some games and they're hanging tough and Russell Wilson is playing pretty decent, then okay, he'll probably sit down there and develop. But we know, and I played in the New York market, if things go awry, you got that first round pick at quarterback, trust me, fans and everyone will be clamoring for him to be on the field sooner rather than later.
Week 2, week 3.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
And I think everybody wants to jump in and say, look at Jaden Daniels. Look what he did. So I think a lot of teams might be wanting to go that route with Jaxson
I hope they don't
Dart.
do that.
I hope they don't do it either.
Not fair to Dart, right?
For the development part for Dart being under Brian Daboll, who he's famous for getting Josh Allen right. He's the one that came into Buffalo, got Josh Allen right after he started off a little shaky, got him back on track, putting him in the MVP category, which he is today. I can see that development with Jaxson Dart. I think he has the potential to be really good. I love his gunslinger mentality he has and the swag mindset. It started in high school when he was Gatorade Player of the Year in Utah, and he's carried it through USC and then down in Ole Miss. I really like him for that swag he's got.
Forgot y'all have that Utah connection. I like Dart's tools, and I'm in agreement with everyone else that there's going to be an adjustment period. The more time he has to learn, the better. Adjustment in a few areas. Jeremy, you alluded to the Ole Miss offense being different. A few things he's going to have to acclimate to. At Ole Miss, they had a 53% play action rate. That's more than twice the NFL average. So we're going to see a lot more straight dropbacks from him. He's going to have to get used to NFL timing. Often he was throwing to guys who were, wide open, college open, NFL open. Kyle, you know this. Very different. Going to have to throw with more anticipation there as well. So I feel like the more time he has to learn and perfect his craft, the better he'll be when he does make his debut, though I share everybody's skepticism that the Giants will be as patient as perhaps we would like them to be.
I mean, I know you've seen this number, but I think it's really instructive. 34% of Dart's attempts at Ole Miss last year were thrown to wide open receivers. Jeez. Wide open. 34%. That was fifth highest in the nation.
So that's what it looked like.
That's not happening, right? They're going to be covered. All right, D-Wood, I gotta get your opinion on this. Check this out. From Tampa, undrafted rookie defensive tackle out of Florida. That's Desmond Watson. Big Desmond Watson. I'm going to tell you his number, but you already knew because he's 56 right there. Look at the big man. He's hustling. He's getting ready to go. He was clocked in at 464 pounds at Florida's Pro Day. Here's the thing. Could you block that, D-Wood? You think? I'm not doubting you, but I'm just curious.
I mean, listen, my heyday, absolutely I could block that. You best believe that. I'm wearing big boy down. I tell the coach, listen, let's go know how to wear him down.
Yeah.
Hey,
you know he's in there to stop the run.
That's it. That's it.
All right, you know what? I just wanted to put that in because go Gators. Good job, Desmond. We love it. We love to see it still in the state of Florida. Coming up, Shedeur Sanders finally hitting the field for the Browns, and the evaluation process has begun. You're seeing him in his Browns jersey at rookie minicamp. Kimberly Martin reporting on the ground to give us some more insight. That comes your way next, right here on ESPN.
Thinking, bro. 56 sound real good, but without having a conversation.
And I may have to sacrifice.
Abdul Carter was denied by LT to wear his number 56.
This is between me and my destiny.
He was also turned down by Phil Simms.
The nerve of him to ask for that number.
You're talking about a player, not just the greatest player in franchise history. I could argue that maybe the greatest player in the history of the league.
He's starting off his NFL career as maybe the most ignorant draft pick in history.
Bro, you don't even want that type of pressure.
I stay ready to fight.
If you were Abdul Carter, go find your own number. Go get that one retired.
All right, so we'll be happy to know that Abdul Carter did find his own number. The number is 51 for Abdul Carter. Here he is out there today in that new jersey. You see him. I mean, listen, I get it. He couldn't go after some of the greats, maybe, but he's ready to be great in his own right. And here's a look at some of the notable players to wear 51. The last to wear it was linebacker Azeez Ojulari, who signed a free agent deal with the Eagles this offseason. 3 players have won Super Bowls with the Giants wearing this number. All 3 were linebackers, by the way. Zach Biasi, Bobby Abrams, Robbie Jones. In total, 20 players have worn number 51 for New York, and I am sure that Abdul will tell you he will be the best. Let's read and react to some rookie minicamp storylines starting right there in New York, where Carter spoke to the media today about his new jersey number. We're going to take a listen.
I feel good. I feel like it's going to have to grow on me a little bit, but it's feeling good right now.
How'd you settle on 51?
Pretty much what we had available, so it was a good number.
Is it set or could you change it for the regular season?
That's pretty much set. I'm just happy to be out here playing football. That's really that's all I'm worried about.
And pretty much what we had available about took me out. Okay.
I know how he feels.
I know. How does playing behind a D-line like that make life easier for those Giants linebackers?
Yeah, I know how he feels. I had 95 as a rookie. We had to change that quickly to 53. But my reaction to playing with that D-line, I think the Giants have one of the best D-lines in the league, next to the Ravens, of course. But to play against that D-line with Dexter Lawrence in the middle, I mean, he's going to take all the double teams, so there's going to be a lot of one-on-ones for Abdul Carter. So shout out to Dexter Lawrence taking it up in the middle, and then those boys on the edges from Brian Burns to Abdul Carter, they're going to be a problem.
Now, I can't wait to see what this defense actually looks like. It's a great point by you. All right, let's go to another rookie that's in mini camp today, to Vegas next. Ashton Jeanty starting out there. He met with the press earlier today. That's where we begin.
It's great, it's a new brotherhood. We all welcome each other, getting to know each other. Pete Carroll was saying it yesterday. We all got to be connected and build relationships, and that's going to make us a better team and teammates. He's dope. He's everything everybody says he is. Attention to detail. Just a great coach, great energy, great personality, and I'm excited to continue building a relationship with him.
Jeanty caught up with his center, Jackson Powers-Johnson, this week. You see him catching up right there.
There you
Boys
go.
Getting
there
ready
you
to
go.
Would you
there you
love
go.
that, okay? What can a good back do for an offensive lineman?
Oh, first thing that came to mind, Lord, ground and pound, baby. Like a great back just enhances a good offensive line because they hit the hole harder. You don't have to work as hard to strain the sustain blocks. And then ultimately what this guy is great at is yards after contact. Look at that. Look at the yards he's getting after contact. You don't think offensive linemen don't get excited when blocking for a running back like that? I love it. I can't wait to watch this young man play this fall.
Yeah, you're going to love him, D-Wood. I mean, I know you've already seen him play in college, but you just wait. He's so much fun. Let's go to Chicago next, where the team added some playmakers for Caleb Williams in year 2, including Luther Burden III, who met with the media today. Listen to this.
The chip on your shoulder a couple weeks ago after you were picked on day 2 instead of day 1. Is that something that you leave behind on draft weekend, or is that something you're carrying with you here?
No, that's staying with me forever. So everybody who passes upon me got to pay.
Okay, now you see Luther there arriving at rookie minicamp for the Chicago Bears. Nina, how do you expect the offense to look different with new head coach Ben Johnson in the mix, especially knowing all these weapons they've added for Caleb?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a sort of marriage between him and Caleb Williams. I mean, I do think there's going to be a lot of similarities to what we saw in Detroit, which was a perfect fit for Jared Goff. There's really not many more quarterbacks in the NFL who are better at turning their back to the defense off of play action than just ripping it over the middle of the field. Caleb Williams can do that. He has the arm talent. The question is, does he have the faith and the structure of the offense to play on time? That's what we didn't see enough of last year. Ben Johnson was going to set him up to succeed. He has the playmakers to do it. It's really going to come down to the young quarterback.
Yeah, that's well said. Also, too, I think, as you mentioned, Mina, just knowing he'll have more protection this time around and a little more time to make some of those decisions. Let's get to some more top stories from around the league with rookie minicamps. Jeremy Fowler here. Jeremy, start us off in Jacksonville with the plan for Travis Hunter. Everybody's like, can he possibly do this and play both offense and defense?
Yeah, Laura, the plan is to major in offense, minor in defense. I just checked with some people in Jacksonville. The expectation is during rookie minicamp, he will do something on the defensive side. Didn't do much on that side today. It was mostly offense, but they are going to invest in him on both sides. In some capacity, could be more of like a third down cornerback. I have a great comp for Travis Hunter I've got from multiple people around the league. The Diggs brothers. He's Stephon and Trevon Diggs all in one.
Like that.
And next we got Tyler Shuck, the second-round rookie quarterback with the Saints. He's really got a chance to play here early because of the uncertainty around the Derek Carr situation. There are people around the league who are skeptical that he'll play for the Saints this year because he's got this shoulder injury. He was open-minded about potentially going to other teams earlier this offseason. So stage appears to be set here, and he's played a lot of football. I'm told the coaches now, they're not really working much with Carr. It's more with these young players. We'll see who wins the job. And you got Nick Chubb, so it looks like it is the end of an era. In fact, that's what a source told me last week about their drafting of 2 running backs. Quinshon Judkins in the second round, Dylan Sampson, day 3. They felt like it was a good run for Chubb and Kareem Hunt together, but they need to get younger, more explosive. That's been their goal. So it looks like Chubb will be most likely playing elsewhere. Chicago Bears are a team that could use a running back. We'll see what happens there. And you got Shedeur Sanders, of course, first day with the Browns today. Looked good. They're moving around. Him and Dylan Gabriel are trading shots. So the Browns are going to keep 4 quarterbacks throughout this offseason with Joe Flacco probably in pole position. I would say he'd be the favorite to start right now if you had to pick one. Kenny Pickett. Browns are going to see what they do. Sanders will have every opportunity to make this team.
Yeah, and of course, if anybody is on the trading block, they want other teams to have a chance to see what they can do too. Yeah. Now, the Browns have not had a Pro Bowl quarterback since Derek Anderson in 2007. That's the longest active drought in the NFL. Speaking of those quarterbacks, Kimberly Martin at Browns camp today. All the details on Shedeur Sanders' first practice.
With 2 rookie quarterbacks in need of extra on-field work, the Browns strategically held a longer 7-on-7 period to accommodate the need for more reps to go around. Both Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel split about 3 dozen reps in individual drills, and then Gabriel took the first reps of team drills. But head coach Kevin Stefanski said, don't read into who goes first or second. Instead, Stefanski stressed that rookie minicamp is part competition and part instruction. And after day 1 of applying what they learned from the meeting room to the field, Stefanski said that both QBs did a nice job. But the evaluation, he added, is ongoing. So when I pressed Stefanski on that process, he said, we're evaluating everything they do on the field, in the meeting room, and in the weight room. It's not just about 1 rep at rookie minicamp or 1 rep in OTA. It's really about the body of work. So day 2 of that evaluation process starts tomorrow, and we'll get to hear directly from Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel.
Can't wait. I'm sure that'll be on ESPN. All right, still ahead. We hit the film room. Mina and Kyle getting to nerd out a little bit about how the Ravens D torments opposing quarterbacks. This is going to be good. Stay tuned. We'll be right back on NFL Live. A week away from the 2025 NFL schedule release. So to gear you up, we're going to look back at some of the best games of the 2024 season. Today we go back to one of the most epic endings of the season, the Hail Mary that officially put Jaden Daniels center stage.
You got the future of our league. You got Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels.
It takes one of those. It takes a family, yo. How do we take a fight? Hey, it's going to be a fight. But we the heavyweight champs, all right?
Snap and a handoff, running wide. There is DeAndre Swift inside midfield to the 45, down the sideline of the Washington Commanders. 20-15-10, touchdown. They're in prime position here to score. Take, turn. Roshan Johnson barrels in for the touchdown.
Bears have their first lead of the day. It's not over yet. 15-12. Bears lead. 25 seconds to go.
Prepare for this moment, man. We did all the details. We put in all the work. Now it's time to make it come alive, man, like we do every single Sunday, baby.
They only have 5 seconds to work with. They're going to need a miracle now. Daniels backing up. He's just going to have to let one fly.
One Mississippi.
Goes to the right side.
2 Mississippi.
Steps away from the defenders.
3 Mississippi.
Gives himself some time.
4 Mississippi.
Steps up. Fires. Heads towards the end zone.
Oh, man, that was crazy. Okay, what games will join that list of the great ones next season? All the matchups for the 2025 NFL season will be released in a primetime special. We'll be with you next Wednesday night at 8 Eastern on ESPN2. It's our annual 2-hour special coverage on NFL Network as well. All right, we have had such a treat these last couple days having Kyle Van Noy in studio with us. And now, Kyle, we're just going to do a highlight reel of all your sacks.
Let's go.
Why
I like
not?
that.
I mean, these aren't all of them, right?
This one earned some money right there. That was a good one.
Look at you, take them down.
Let's go.
You're Justin
Thank
Herbert.
you, Justin. Oh, I wish you let it got me the ball.
I mean, you got close though, right?
Yeah.
You had an incredible season last year, getting better with age, right? 12 and a half sacks, trailed only Trey Hendrickson, Myles Garrett, and Nick Benito. Were the most of any season in your career. Great company there. You got a quarterback pressure on 13% of your pass rushes.
Man.
That's 7th best in the league.
Wow, let's go. That's a surprise for all the Raven fans out there.
I love it. I'm just saying, Kyle, if this doesn't work out for me, I'll just be your agent, okay?
All right.
A benefactor, though, of some of the simulated pressures Baltimore likes to run, right? So what does that scheme do to confuse offenses?
You know, Mina and myself, we love simulated pressures. We love confusing the defense. Who's coming, who's dropping, you don't know. It could be a D lineman dropping all the way into the post safety, or you could send a corner. You don't know. It's always going to be a different person, and that's the beauty of a simulated pressure.
Yeah, walk us through one of these.
All right, let's go. Mina,
yeah.
Go ahead. You
want
go
to pull
first.
mine, or I have one where Kyle gets to
then Mina.
sack.
Yeah.
Me first.
Kyle, you want me to throw yours first? Okay.
I'm going to it. I love this simulated pressure. It was Odafe Owe. You had Trent Simpson blitzing to the right, taking the tackle down, and Odafe was able to just run scot-free. And then myself is on the left. See, I'm hitting number 3, take away Gardner Minshew's first read, and it allows Odafe to be free runner to the quarterback. I love this one. Sack for Odafe. Everyone gets a plus on their sheet. We're all celebrating off the field. It was hot. We can't believe we lost that game, but who cares? That simulated pressure worked. Mina, your turn.
Yeah, I mean, they work so well with Baltimore because you got players like Kyle who are incredibly athletic, can both rush the passer, drop into coverage. You got a few players like that. But for the reasons you described, you can manipulate protections, confuse the defense, get one-on-ones, create them that way, and also take away the middle of the field. And all of that happens in the pressure that I chose, which is one where Kyle actually gets the sack.
Okay, I like
believe
that.
it was a split sack. So you got Roquan Smith at the line of scrimmage. He drops off. Kyle and Madubuike run a game. They got one-on-ones. And what you don't see there is because you see it. Because Roquan Smith drops, he's taken away the middle of the field. There's a shallow cross. So Russ has to hold on to the football a split second longer, and then you get the sack off of the game. And Kyle, I think that's a big part of the reason why you guys, your defense has had such success against quarterbacks like Joe Burrow who get rid of the ball so quickly. Because you make him think, right? Because you got to put him in the line of scrimmage and, he's dropping in coverage. Would you say that helps against players like Burrow in particular?
Yeah, Burrow's really good, though. I mean, I feel like it's very hard to take away his first read, but I will say we do a good job in the simulated pressures. Any game, doesn't matter. Those are a staple in the Ravens defense as well as the Seahawks. I know Mike Mack took it over there. They do a good job of it as well. I think it's just incredible now that you'll see more teams doing it. Broncos do it at a high level. They rush a lot of five-man pressures. They do a good job of it as well. I think you're going to see more and more of it in the NFL.
You know, you guys both illustrated that so well, but it's got to be complicated, right? If it confuses quarterbacks and offenses in general the way that it does, was it hard to learn?
Well, that's why we practice, because we got to practice so many times, because sometimes I'll rush and they're like, you were supposed to drop. But it's awesome. It's really fun. It can get confusing at times. Who's coming, who's dropping, but that's why we practice and we do a really good job of it. Zio is going to have us cooking this year in the simulated pressure world. Excuse me.
It's impressive.
Yeah, I love your point about Mike McDonald, by the way, and Zach, because you're really seeing that tree of defenses around the NFL. I'll throw out another team, Kyle's old squad, the Chargers. Jesse Minter, you know, he was with Mike McDonald at Michigan, right? You're seeing them do that as well. And I don't know, Kyle, maybe if you keep playing, you might end up going back there because of the expansion of that tree.
I don't know about that one. I'm happy where I'm at, Nina. I'm happy.
Okay, if it happens, we're going to bring the tape back. By the way, Van Noy and Owe were just one of 4 pairs of teammates with double-digit sacks last season.
I didn't know that. No, I just kidding.
I was going to say, you know all your good stats, okay? And maybe some of your bad ones, but you don't have many bad ones. Up next, running back Omarion Hampton was their draft headliner, but what's got Dean Wood all giddy about the rest of the Chargers' new additions? Find out next. Plus, Jim Harbaugh just spoke. You don't want to miss what he had to say, I promise you. It's vintage Harbaugh. We'll be right back. Our Week 7 UFL matchups. Actually, we're not going to see those because we're going to talk about our rookies in minicamp today. There's Emac. You're about to see him with Carolina Panthers. What a catch. I cannot wait to see him in that offense with Bryce Young. And how about Jalen Walker? First-round pick for the Falcons. Putting some hurting on the tackling dummy there. Abdul Carter showing off the swim move. You love to see it. He doesn't care. He's wearing 51. He looks really good. All right, new on NFL Live, Jim Harbaugh in mid-season form with his roster-building analogy.
Reminded of a story that my mom told when she said that, like, she was cooking the Easter ham, and her mom would always cut off 1/3 of the Easter ham every Easter and bake it that way and not use the other third. So my mom asked her mom, why did you do it that way? And her mom said, well, that's the way my mom always did it. So my grandmother asked her mom, why do you cut off the third of the Easter ham every year? And she said, my great grandma said, because the oven wasn't big enough to fit the full ham into the oven. So it just goes to the point, goes to the analogy. Is just because something has always been done a certain way doesn't make it the right way.
I gotta say, he brought that back pretty well.
Yeah, because I didn't know where he was going.
Yeah. Way to hone it back in, Coach. Land the plane.
He did. He landed it. Kyle, you're familiar, obviously, with this organization. It's been a season there. What do you make of the way that they've used Justin Herbert and how they've used him in this offense?
Yeah, honestly, I'm not a fan of how they're using him. I feel like they're taking away his superpower of really throwing the ball down the field. That's when Justin Herbert's at his best. He's very, very accurate. They're going more towards running the ball. I get it. Harbaugh, when everybody zigs, he zags. He's going to Omarion Hampton and Najee Harris, who they got in free agency. And that's all great. But Justin, his competitive spirit really came out last year. You saw it. He was talking trash. He was hyping people up. He was celebrating after he scored touchdowns. He never does that. So just seeing that, we need to see more and more Justin. I needed him to sling the rock all around the football field. What do you think, Wood?
No, we know what Jim Harbaugh's DNA is.
Yes.
He wants to impose his will and run the football. Think about what Jim Harbaugh has done since he's become the head coach. First pick, Joe Alt. Bring in Mekhi Becton, okay? Then you draft Amarian Hampton, bring in Najee Harris. What does that tell you? I want to run the doggone football and get it going. I think the biggest thing that they have to do, they got to do a better job of protecting Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
They really do. But I think they do that by running the football.
I mean, I think it comes down to whether or not you're good at running the football. Like, if you got Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry back there and one of the best run-blocking offensive lines in football, by all means. But the Chargers were not good at running the ball last year. And to Woody's point, they go out, they get Mekhi Becton, who was really good blocking the run in Philly last season. They draft Amarian Hampton. All right, fine. But I do not want to see Greg Roman, to Kyle's point, stubbornly adhering to a run-first philosophy if they're not good at it, because he does have a quarterback who is very capable of executing a drop-back-heavy offense.
Yeah, they at least did get some help at the pass receiver option. They got Trey Harris in the second round because they held off all offseason. They could have tried to trade for DK Metcalf, some other options. They didn't. They relied on the draft, which is what they love. Joe Ortiz, the GM, is from Baltimore. That's what they do. So they got Trey Harris, a guy they feel like can be much more than a deep threat. That's what he was at Ole Miss for the most part. They think he can expand his route tree. I'm told that they think he's way faster than his 4.5 speed in the 40, that he plays faster. So I'm with you. They got to take the tarp off the Ferrari, let Herbert get it loose.
Also, to your point, Mike Dubb is also back, coming off another year away, 2 years away from his ACL injury. He's going to be back. Excited to see what he does with Justin, because they had a connection.
Yeah, it's a good point. Mina, on Trey Harris, I know he's a guy that you watched a ton of tape on, and he was really fun to watch in college. He wasn't healthy a ton of the time, but what did you think about that pickup?
Yeah, I echo a lot of what Jeremy said. A fantastic contested catch guy. I mean, he's going to make his hay in the red zone. He's a guy you can just post up and ask to go up and get the football. I don't think he has quite the speed I would wish they want in this offense, but he definitely has that big-bodied ex-receiver prototype that they're looking for, and I think pairs really well with Ladd McConkey, who was an absolute stud last year.
Yeah, you got to think Ladd McConkey was doing a round of applause for that pick when it happened. And you know what? Let's do a round of applause in studio for Kyle. Joined us these last 2 days.